My name is Francis Nyanga Hafwiti Kazilimani. The fond memories of my father that I have and I always held are that 1985, throwback 1985, I was doing my grade 11 of Form 4. I wrote him a letter in April when I got to know about the place where he was, Kruma College, Teachers College. One of the teachers gave me the phone numbers and I called him. I wrote him a letter in April when I was in grade 11. I received a reply in September, third term. But I had sent it in the first time. His reply was saying, well, I didn't know that I fathered you. That's why I've been negligent. Maybe I've not been getting in touch with you. I said, oh, fine. The following year, I met him when I was completing school. First, the following year in April, in 1986, he came to visit us. He was a member of the board of management for St. Mark's Secondary School. So he asked for me. He didn't ask for me. I just peeped and I saw him walking with the head teacher. I didn't have courage to approach him, neither to ask him or just greet him. He went back. But when he came back in November, I was writing my last paper. It was a weekend. I was remaining with only one paper. Then he came and asked for the headmaster teacher to look for me. And the head teacher sent another teacher who saw me. He said, come, your father is looking for you. That's how we went to meet him. He gave me 20 kwacha. Hello, Mr. Fiti. I was not very used to being called Mr. Just shouted, hello, Mr. Fiti. You are the one. You are the one. I can tell. I was with my friend, Sevia Munanyimbo. And he said, you are the one. I can tell. Hello, Mr. Fiti. Oh. Then he said, what do you want to be? I said, I want to be a teacher. Don't worry. Should you just tell me the moment the results come out? And he handed me a 20 kwacha. At that time, I was able to buy a t-shirt and a pair of trousers and a packet of sugar. But I was very good, only 2 days or so to finish school. So that's what I remember. That was how I met my father. So I thought that is better for me to indicate that that's what I remember most. That's the fondest time I enjoyed with him. Because after that, I think I was married when we reconnected again. And I was old, but I think that I was excited about those few moments that we interacted with him. Thank you.
Hi everyone. My recollections of Mr. Jason Peter Kazilimani. I was born on the 15th of September 1939 in the village, in the Petauke area, Kwaukwin. My recollections, well, he was a great man. He was a man's man. He was a disciplinarian, but also very loving, very generous, extremely generous, very welcoming. There were always people passing through our house. Most of the time we lived in Kabwe. But yeah, he made everyone feel welcome. And whilst he was the youngest in his family, in many ways, he was still the leader of the family. You could see the way his older siblings looked up to him and respected him. He loved his books. As you can see behind me, a lot of books, a lot of them I inherited from him. Me and Mumba inherited from him. I think the books here, probably 20%, 80% were bought by him. Yeah, so he loved his books and he liked to impart the spirit of reading in everyone. But he was never judgmental. He wasn't judgmental. I think he would take you for who you are, where you are, what you've been. He mixed with everyone, educated people, uneducated people, Mzungus, Mwenyes, everyone was welcome and everyone engaged with him respectfully. He was a leader of people, leader of men, and he held his own all the time. He was very frank, and he was a disciplinarian. He did have a short temper. He would give you instant feedback. He was not happy about anything. And if you've done well, he also give you instant feedback. That was his nature. And in many ways, he was ahead of his time, I think. Culture was ahead of his time. Whilst most people was still steeped in Zambian tradition, he was a step ahead. He used to think like a Mzungu, and sometimes it would get him into trouble. When people are not thinking or taking things the same way he is. But there's a bit of a contradiction because on the other hand, you're also a big stickler for tradition, respect for elders and things like that. You know, I can say a lot, but all I can say, he was a great man, and I truly, truly miss him.
Hello family. I want to talk about your grandfather, JPK, fondly known by his friends and peers. For us, we called him Adedi. Just the way you call my brothers Dad, Papa, Paps. He was very firm and loving and never had favorites. No kapatulula. He loved the same. He taught us unity, took us to funerals, and functions, from compound to hotels, so that we appreciate family. He would have loved all of us, all of you, trust me. He would have been proud of this unity. He was a happy person.
Morning, everyone. So it's just some short recollections, my memories about JPK. He was a man who really loved his family deeply, and he also worked very hard to take care of his family. He was very strict, and when you are wrong, he would sit you down and give you a lecture there and then, just to correct you. Sometimes he used to use bombastic words, and if you don't know what they mean, you don't want to interrupt him, force us to read. Maybe that's why we like reading so much. Sure, some of you can remember here that his lectures were really hard-hitting. At times it bring you to tears. But we always got the point he was trying to put across to us. And now in life, I think we appreciate what he used to tell us. He rarely beat us, but when he did, you were assured that you would never repeat what you were being beaten for. I remember he also used to take us visiting to see his relatives, wherever they lived, whether it was in town, a farm somewhere, in the compound. And at times he used to leave us there to spend a few days. I think his point was we had to learn to live with other people, no matter where they're coming from or the circumstances of the place they resided. Another thing which I remember is, I think I'm living by this most of the time, is he told me not to think too much about what other people say about me. As long as you're doing the right thing, just make sure you're focused on what you're doing and don't be too envious of what others have. As long as you're doing the right thing and in the right way. Dad was also a role model to a lot of people. Not just in the family life. I think in his professional life, he really touched the lives of a lot of people. Because most times when I was growing up and somebody asked me my name, I would tell them I'm Kazilimani. They would always react saying, are you Mr. Kazilimani's son? The one who was at ZCM or at Nkrum? And I would reply, yes. When I do that, they would always have very nice words to say about him. He really was a great man, and he You will be missed. You're still missed.
What JPK meant to me, my father, our father, and your grandfather. So he installed a sense of responsibility in me. He valued education the most, be it basic education, be it higher education. He really had an emphasis on getting a grade 12 certificate. I remember when I was in grade 8 at St. Mary's Secondary School. By then, sisters used to run it. So he would always call Sister Magdalene on my performance. If my performance dropped, I knew if Sister Magdalene would call me, I knew it was Dad on the phone. And I would sit in this office, in her office, for a very long time, an hour plus, just him lecturing me on how education is very important. At first, he used to, when he speaks, you would think that he's shouting, but no, he was not shouting. He was just trying to make you understand that education is very, very, very important. Now I get that. And he also preferred you to be educated even more than that. After grade 12, he even used to ask me questions like, what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to do when you finish secondary school? I know a grade 8 wouldn't think of that, but I thought of that so many times because what he installed that in that sense of responsibility in me. He also taught me how to fight hard in life, how to do what I need to do to get to where I want to be. I don't know if that makes sense. Do what I need to do to get to where I want to be. But that also means doing it responsibly and not stepping on other people's toes to get to where you want to be. So he installed in me a sense of responsibility, and he also valued education the most. He always used to tell me, read. No matter what, even I read newspaper, read. Hence his many books that we see around. But he told me to read. He told me to read whatever, a newspaper, a magazine, anything, but as long as it gives you a sense of knowing what kind of words are there, those kind of words that you need to use. He taught me never to rely so much on what was being taught, but also to get whatever I would read out there. So I would encourage you, my children, the grandchildren of JPK, please get an education, be it basic, be it higher education. Go all the way if you have that opportunity. There are other children who don't have that opportunity, but they find themselves there up there. So go all the way.
Good morning, afternoon, evening. How are you, family? What I remember about JPK is that he was a good, loving man. He loved to bring family together. He was one person who wanted everyone, each and every family member, be it extended or not, to be together, to know each other. He loved his books, his newspapers. Yeah, and I encourage everyone. He gave me an encouragement to read. But reading wasn't so much of me, but that still is in me, of reading. The other thing I also remember about JPK is that he loved his grandchildren, his children. He loved spending time with his grandchildren as well. Those who remember him, who were still there before he passed on, we can attest to that. Yeah, he was a family man. Though there are times when, let me say, an embarrassing part that I remember of him is that when he would speak to you in Bemba, or speak to someone in Bemba, his Bemba was pathetic. Yeah, he loved his Nsenga. Yeah, that's a few things I remember about him.